In the last several decades, we've given a Lifetime Achievement Award in GIS. This has gone to people like Roger Tomlinson, Dwayne Marble, Ian McHarg, Don Cook, Michael Goodchild, many interesting people who laid the footprints down for us to follow and build. They also not only led their particular field, but they were interesting people. And we let them talk a little bit. Today, I'm very pleased to be able to honor an old friend of mine, Carlos Salman, with this honor. Carlos is an interesting guy, as you will see. One of the most creative people I have ever met on the planet. He went to school at ITC as a photogrammetrist and mapping person from his native country, Mexico, came back and went to work for the government and had a passion for bringing modern mapping tools to Mexico in the 70s. And he worked hard. And he got into bureaucracy and got fed up. And he left. After contributing a lot, started his own mapping company to map Mexico because he couldn't get it done in government. He now owns the largest mapping company in South America. On his own, he mapped all of Mexico with his own topographic maps and provided them to everyone there. He also is a curious fellow, married to a wonderful architect, and he's creative. So he came across Talavera. This is a kind of mosaic, originally brought from the Middle East to Mexico. And it was a dying art, and he found a little factory, a few leftover artisans, and started it up again. And then, as some of you might remember, made maps of tiles and brought them here from Mexico, huge displays of all the ancient maps of the world. And then he noticed that there wasn't enough trees in cities in Mexico. So he started a nursery, something I love, and planted millions and millions of trees across Mexico, and many, many other stories. I love this man. Please join me in welcoming and honoring Carlos Salman. Carlos. Carlos. Thank you.
You give it to me before the speech?
Before the speech? Okay, I'll give it to you later.
Later, yeah.
Later, okay, later. My cues are wrong.
Okay.
Carlos.
Yeah, I am very happy to be here. What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday. Our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. I am just a map maker from Mexico. I don't have great theories. I only have dreams. But my dreams are long-lasting. I am a persistent dreamer. I studied mechanical engineering at the MIT, not the one in Boston, the Madero Institute of Technology in Mexico. After graduating in 1971, I had the good fortune to get a job at the National Mapping Agency of Mexico. It was called CETENAL. The mission of CETENAL was to build a resource inventory of Mexico so the Mexican society could become aware how rich our territory was. 2 million square kilometers, 11,000 kilometers of coast, everything that you want, you have it there by the biodiversity. Engineer Juan B. Puig de la Parra, the founder of CETENAL, used to tell us that we need to apply la visión del águila y la sabiduría de la serpiente to get our job done. The vision of the eagle and the wisdom of the snake. I was impressed by his passion. The ambitious CETENAL project involved topographic, geological, land use, potential land use, and soil maps at 1 to 50,000 scales, and maps for the soil aptitude for urban development. Photogrammetry means to measure with light. In the ancient Mexican cultures, the spirit of the eagle is the representation of the spirit of the sun. And it was the light of the sun that imprinted the vision of Mexico that we were capturing with aerial photography at Setenal. I was so happy to become a photogrammetrist. In 1974, my boss sent me to the ITC in the Netherlands to study a postgraduate diploma. I visited the Dutch cadastre and learned how important for the development of a country is to have a good and accurate and updated cadastral system and land registration. I thought we needed to apply that concepts in Mexico. Back in Mexico, I draw a diagram that shows the integration between the resource inventory we were doing and the cadastral. I asked my bosses to be sent to the States to try to apply this knowledge. They sent me to Zacatecas. In Zacatecas, we did field surveys to complete the cadastral. And then we overlay the cadastral map in the potential land use map. What I saw was terrible. The land for these farmers were very small parcels. The soil was very poor. So we were condemning them to poverty for generations to come. Also, they didn't understand the maps. But they were in such a terrible condition that I was enraged. I was very rebellious. So I told to my mentors how disenchanted I was with that situation. I had very good mentors. They listened to me very carefully and told me, Carlos, you could devote your life to try to change the conditions that make Mexico so unfair and so poor, even if we have a lot of resources. But it will be a long journey. It will take you 40 to 50 years, and you will have many defeats and some successes. And to address the issue that the farmers don't understand our maps, you need to understand, maps are like messages. With messages, not only matters what you say, but what the other people understand. And what the other people understand, it depends on who he is and what filters he has built in his conscience, in his possible conscience. Our mission is not, it involves maps understood, not maps produced. Maps could be useless. They told me that 34 years ago. My mentors also advised me to get a real life, not just a work life. So they sent me to the university to give lectures to the students of the urban planning master course. And they encouraged me, try to get a girlfriend there. You know, the worst sin a man can commit is not to be happy. So I have always been obedient to my mentors. So 9 months later, I married Gloria, a student of that training course. 9 months later, my daughter Paola was born. This girl came very fast. Then, 2 years later, I had Fabiola arrives. I became a family man. And I learned that women of any age are wiser, stronger, and smarter than men. In 1977, I wrote a paper proposing the transfer of Setenal technology to state governments. I believe that if we build state information systems at the provincial level, we were going to make better to have better policies for water and land management. The paper was very well received by my bosses, but something terrible was about to happen with the Setenal mapping agency. There were political changes at the minister level. A new minister, ill-advised by International Monetary Fund's economists, started to ask questions. How much do you spend in these maps? At what price do you sell it? What is the profit? We tried to explain to him that a national resource inventory is like an X-ray of your lungs or your brain. You will not make a fast cash profit from it, but it could save your life. They didn't listen, and they decided to stop the resource inventory. International Monetary Fund economists' favorite song is downsize. Downsizing is like losing weight. It could be good if you apply it to the fat, but it's terrible if you try to lose weight taking out your eyes or your brains. Mapping and GIS are like the eyes and the brains of a country. You need both to have a shared vision where the resources can be used not to produce the richest man in the planet like in Mexico, but to share all the resources such that the children could have enough nutrition. I faced a hard choice. I liked to work for the government. But then I needed to stop dreaming or go to the private sector and hope for the best. I decided to embrace hope, and in 1980, we founded a company with 2 employees, my wife and me, with the mission to implement land information system in the state governments. We grew in 8 years from 2 to 200 employees, and I thought we were going to be able to do something in 20 years. Not 40 or 50, as my mentors have told me. But then, in 1988, I met Jack Dangermond in Baltimore, and all my problems started. ESRI was showing ArcInfo 3X in 1988, and they were showing how to do geographic analysis with computers. We didn't use computers. We just overlaid the maps. I listened to Jack very passionately speaking about landscape planning with GIS. I stopped to talk with him about the difference in mapping and urban systems in Mexico and the United States. In the United States, you first make the streets, put the utilities, networks, and then put the houses. In Mexico, we put first the houses, and then later maybe we will put the streets and the utilities. So, in the United States, you make maps of what is there. In Mexico, we need to make maps of what is not there, but it should be. Maps of the needs of the people. Then Jack told me, don't worry. Next version of ArcInfo will make the maps of what is not there. In the user conference, I found a group of people that thought that they could change the world with GIS. It appears that they don't know that making dreams happen is the most difficult task a man can undertake. So, like I am an experienced dreamer, I say I should join them. I decided to join them, and CICSA became the Mexican distributor of ESRI 22 years ago. I have made many friends from every continent, including the small pueblito or town of Tierras Rojas, California. I have been a witness of the evolution of the most powerful GIS platform in the world. Many years of suggestion, insight, and complaint from all of these networks are put into ArcGIS 10. So, in 1999, many rivers flooded Mexico, as almost every year. Flooding is good because it makes the soil more fertile. But it was our problem that we put the cities too close to the rivers. So the clean water that rains, it was polluted with sewage and flooded the cities, setting back the lives of many people because they have to pay again all the commodities they had. So this makes me desperate. I am a desperate man. Because this is a disaster of our own making. We could not blame the river. Don't blame the water. We did it wrong. Mexico divides is dry or is flooded. You know, and it's first flooded. So if we keep the water, we shouldn't be dry. But we are very crazy to manage the water, so we need to learn from the Dutch. To change this situation, we need 6 things, Aldis. One is large-scale, accurate maps. Accurate maps. And updated. Then the cadastral layer. Then the public record should be tied to the cadastral layer. And then we need the resource inventory that we stopped 30 years ago. That is the reason I am desperate. But even these 4 things are useless if the community doesn't use it. We are not making maps for ourselves. We need to transfer this information. We need maps in the brains of the people. So we need the community using the maps. And another thing, another thing we need is a consensus building engine. Because the cities float for this party or this party, for the rich, for the poor, for the old, for the young. So we should not discuss the data. We should discuss the solution. Since the maps were not available, CICSA decided to map all Mexico at 20,000 scale in vector formats and at 10,000 in orthophotos and to 5,000 and 1,000. We call it Proyecto Mexico. We did a cartographic structure, sent surveyors to establish a rock-solid network, take aerial photography. We didn't have any contract to do it. We didn't know how we were going to finance it or sell it. We didn't know if we were going to complete it. We just started to do it with no other light nor guide except the one burning in our hearts. 10 years later, maps of all Mexico at 20,000 scale have been completed and are already being updated. With maps, you always need updating. And we have produced thousands and thousands of maps at different scales from 1,000 to 5,000. But as my mentors told me, maps are useless unless the people apply them. And what we need, and that is our new challenge, if we want to change Mexico, how is the status of Mexico? Imagine an orchestra that is in 5 different floors. And we don't have a partiture. Every guy, the orchestra is split in 5 floors. Everyone wants to play a different song. There is no director. It's a chaos. We need optimization of the government process and orchestration of them. And that is the big challenge we have. I love maps, new and old. Photogrammetry is a science, but cartography is an art as much as a science. I realized that many antique maps that were produced hundreds of years ago were destroyed or were not used, were hidden in libraries. We decided to start, this is Amsterdam, we decided to start a small tile shop with a technique called Talavera de Puebla. That is an evolution of the Islamic techniques and Mesopotamia techniques, and then to Spain and then to Mexico in the 16th century. It has been very enriching experience to do these maps. Eradicating poverty and injustice in Mexico will take many years. So our motto is, if Mexico is going to be poor, at least make it beautiful. So 14 years ago, we bought a piece of land that was eroded and decided to transform it. We started a nursery. I have a friend from California that was a nursery boy. His name is Jack. The family of Jack had a nursery. So he gave me some tips about where to buy seeds and things like that. We make children to adopt trees. We give trees to the schools. And we have collections on pines and try to to have some shelter for species that are in danger. To be here today and be part of your network, it makes me very happy and very grateful to Laura and Jack and all my hardworking ESRI friends. Proyecto Mexico, Talavera de la Luz, and the flowering trees are the results of many people. The merit is of all of them. So we make this map with the faces of the children of my co-workers at Setenal. It's a nice way to remember how we need to work harder. I am, as you could imagine, very grateful to the mentors I had at Setenal for the teachings, but especially for sending me to the university where I found my wife, Gloria. Meeting her is the best thing that ever happened to me. Everything that happens everything that happens because life wants to teach you something. It's your duty to find out what it wants to teach you. So when Jack told me about this award or this thing of lifetime, I was very nervous. I asked myself, do I look so old or what? And then for months I was thinking, what life is trying to teach me with this thing? Lifetime is an intimidating concept. Then I realized that lifetimes are just a collection of days. So I will tell you a Sanskrit poem, as I recall it in Spanish, but translated to English. Take care of today because it's life, the true life of life. In today's time spans, you will get the excitement of action, the power of thought, the opportunity to improve yourself. Because yesterday is only a memory and tomorrow only a vision. But today we live makes every yesterday a memory of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Take care of today, therefore. So I will finish with a 1-minute video that I brought to you with my wish. Please try to be happy. Thank you very much.
It's good. Thank you, Carlos. Congratulations. You're a great guy. Isn't he wonderful? Thank you, Carlos.
Okay,
good luck
thank
to
you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Good luck with your next presentation.
No, yes, my next presentation. Thank you. Again. Good.